If you want to learn Flask in detail with a real project, the next 6 videos will do exactly that for you. I will show you how to use Flask and SQLAlchemy to build fully functional blog post web page, and you will learn how to build registration, login forms, create users and posts and put them into the database, and also how to build the complete front end for your application. So in this first video I will show you how to build the base project, and in the next videos I will show you how to progressively add features to your blog post. So let's get started. Hi everyone, as the header of this video says, in this section we're going to try to build a completely functional Flask project with a database. And for that reason, in order to use databases, we would use something called SQLAlchemy, which will basically allow us to use any type of database. And as you can see in front of you, SQLAlchemy supports a variety of databases such as PostgreSQL, MySQL, Oracle, SQLite, which is the one we're going to use for this project, Microsoft SQL Server, and so on and so forth. Basically, you can use SQLAlchemy in any of your Flask applications and use an additional database, which really simplifies your life. So the next thing I want to talk about before jumping into the actual project is the objectives. So our objectives are to create a fully functional Flask landing page. Okay, then we're going to build a login and registration form, and also we'll add user and post classes so you can have different users that can add different posts in your application. So this is the idea for our application, and now after you're familiar with it, I created here our application into project 3 folder, and as you can see here you have 2 folders that you actually need to import from the resources in that section, and this is the front end. As I don't want you to jump into the front end yet, because this course is specifically for the Flask and databases backend, which is the core for the RESTful web services. For that reason, the front end here is built so you have this HTML and CSS files. If you don't know what it is, you feel free to check in internet, but basically this is the markup or how our raw application is going to be designed and displayed to the final user. So here we define things such as colors, where the elements are displayed on our browser, basically things that really don't involve Flask. So this is already created, and you can simply create this project folder and add the static or the CSS and the HTML files, and then build your application. So I assume that you already use PyCharm for that course. So just jump into PyCharm and open a new project. So if you have PyCharm open, select File, Open, and then navigate to the directory of this project. Select Open, and then you can see all the templates that we have here displayed, but without any Python files. So let's jump in, and basically you need to create 2 files in order to run your project, and those are going to be the application file and the form file. So let's do that. Now go here over the project tree and select new Python file and write app.py, or actually just app, and then let's create another one Python file, and here we'll have forms.py. Okay, so in those 2 files, one of them is going to be the main runner, which is the app.py, and the other one is going to act as a form template. Okay, so let's run our initial Flask application, and then I will show you the classes and the methods that we're going to be adding here. So let's do from datatime, import datatime, then from. Actually, before doing the from, let's go into our terminal, and once we're in our terminal, let's create a virtual environment where we can install all of the packages that we need. So you can do that by writing virtual env venv, and venv is the folder where we will have our virtual environment. So select that. And as you can see, if I write OS, you can see we have the virtual environment. Even if I go back to PyCharm, you can see the virtual environment here. And let's activate it. So what you need to do is to write source venv bin activate. So we have virtual environment, and now we can install some of the packages required for that project. So let's do pipe install Flask. Then I will also install, actually let's first install Flask. Okay, then pipe install Flask SQLAlchemy. Okay, and finally let's install, so let's do again pipe install Flask _ WTF. Okay, then let's do another one, pipe install WTF forms. Actually it's WT forms. Okay, so that's done. Okay, so once you have those packages installed in your virtual environment, you can go to PyCharm and select your new interpreter, so you're up to date. Okay, so let's add a new interpreter, and you can add exactly the virtual environment of your project here. So let's click OK. As you can see, you have your new Python environment. Select OK here, and you can see all of your packages that you already installed. So click OK, and now if you do from Flask, you will see it. And let's do Flask form. Actually, import Flask form. Actually, this is Flask-WTF. Okay, then let's actually do all the imports. Let's do from WTF forms, import string field, password field, submit field, and boolean field. Okay, so we're going to use all of those, and then let's do from WTF forms dot validators. Let's import data required, length, email, and equal to. Okay, so those are the imports for the forms, and let's go to the apps now. And in the app, I'm going to do from datetime import datetime. Then let's do from Flask import Flask render template URL for Flash and redirect. Okay, and then let's do from Flask SQLAlchemy, we'll import SQLAlchemy, and then from forms, let's import, actually let's leave that for later because I want to first build the forms, and then we will import them once the time comes. Okay, so now once we have some imports, guys, let's actually create the main Flask application and run it so we can see that it works. Okay, so let's do app equals Flask and then name and then app.config secret key will be equal to secret. Actually, whatever word you choose here, it would work. Okay, and then let's do app.config and then let's write here SQLAlchemy _ database URI, and this will be equal to SQLite and then site.db. Okay, and basically the first one, the first config is used for us so we can do the login and the register pages, and the second one is the configuration for the server that we're going to run. Okay, let's now define the database. So db would be equal to SQLAlchemy, and let's pass our app here. And finally, let's create our main class. So let's do if name equals main, then let's do app.run, and let's at the debug mode, so debug will be equal to true. Okay, so let's save that and let's try to run our app. So we have here the virtual environment setup, and if you do python app.py, you can see that our server is running properly right now. And if we go to our link here, you can see that we basically have our application running. However, we don't define pages yet, but you can see that our application gets a hit once you try to access a page. So this means that our Flask application is now running, and the next important step will be, guys, to create our front page. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching that video, and I will see you in the next one.